Welcome back. Today's story filled with drama and unexpected turns. Hit like, subscribe, and let's jump in.
Ethan Taylor, a former college wrestler and skilled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was a big, strong guy. Even as a kid, his strength stood out. When he was only 7, he managed to take down a 12-year-old bully. It puzzled everyone how a child could do that, but after seeing many doctors, his parents learned he had a hormonal imbalance. This made his body flood with adrenaline, giving him bursts of incredible strength for short periods. To help him manage this, he was prescribed medication for moments when he might lose control. The doctors advised channeling his energy into physical training and avoiding stressful situations that could trigger his fight-or-flight response. His parents did the same, and soon Sam was training with the school wrestling team. His parents also got him into BJJ. His mother also tried a lot of meditation exercises to ensure Sam remained calm. It all seemed to work, and somehow Sam became a calm man. But everyone who knew him well called him the Hulk. His coaches used to pump him up before any match. They knew once the Hulk came out, there was no stopping him from victory, but they also knew that most of the time, Sam was in total control. However, they never knew what would happen if he ever exploded. Sam's college life went smoothly, and he found a nice job. Things seemed to take a turn for the better when he married Olivia. Ethan Taylor was on his way home from Phoenix after wrapping up a successful negotiation that would significantly improve cash flow for the IT consultancy company he worked for. On top of that, he had the opportunity to see his younger sister Chloe, who had come up from Orlando where she attended the University of Florida. They had a good dinner at the Ritz-Carlton Phoenix and spent a couple of hours catching up. It had been a few years since he had seen her, and he enjoyed the time they spent together. Now, he was looking forward to seeing Olivia, his wife of nearly 6 years. He hated being away from her, but unfortunately, that was just the nature of his job. What he was really looking forward to was their 6th wedding anniversary, which was on Monday, the day after tomorrow. Unknown to her, he had already made a reservation at a local resort hotel for the weekend and had ordered a pearl crescent necklace that he intended to give her at the hotel. His plan was to pick it up from the jeweler shop the next afternoon. Right now, though, he wondered where she could be. He called her cell phone before he boarded the flight, but it went straight to voicemail. He also tried calling the house, but that too went to voicemail. Perhaps she's just out shopping with one of her friends, he thought. He thought about Olivia and how much he missed her. Standing at just under 5 feet 6 inches, she had long, wavy dark hair, hazel eyes, and a dark complexion that looked like a permanent suntan. The only complaint he had was her insane jealousy. She was normally one of the sweetest women he had ever known, but he hated it when she made her false accusations. He loved her too much to ever cheat on her and went out of his way to make sure she realized that. Still, it had gotten so bad that he couldn't even have a business meeting with a female colleague without Olivia thinking they were having an affair. He thought he had finally nipped it in the bud when he challenged her to hire a private investigator and have him watched. Maybe he thought once she had proof of his fidelity, she would back off and realize her fears were unfounded. He was getting more than a little fed up with her jealousy and false accusations. It's not that he didn't have secrets from her. He did, and her constant harping on his so-called infidelity threatened to bring one of those secrets to light in a very ugly way. He felt his heart rate increase as he thought about her constant harping on the subject. He took a few deep breaths as he had been taught, but to no avail. He felt his face start to burn and knew he had to get himself under control quickly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small packet of pills. He took one and began to relax. After a few minutes, his heartbeat returned to normal. The men sitting next to him eyed him with concern. "Are you okay, sir?" the man asked. "Do you want me to call for someone?" Sam shook his head. "No, but thanks for asking. It's just an old heart condition. I've got medication for it." The man nodded his head and sat back but kept an eye on Sam just in case. Finally, the plane landed. Sam grabbed his luggage and went to his car, sitting in the short-term parking lot. He tried calling Olivia again but got her voicemail. He got the same response when he called the house. "Where the hell is she?" he asked himself. He started the car and drove home. When he finally pulled into his garage, he noticed Olivia's car was gone. He thought it odd that she wouldn't be home since it was about 6:30 p.m. normally. She was home from work by 5:30 or so. Maybe she decided to go out with some of her friends from work for a drink, he thought. It didn't happen often, and he never begrudged her that bit of time to blow off steam, but she would generally call or text him to let him know in advance. Moreover, she knew he would be coming home today. Usually, she would be home so they could reconnect when he returned from a trip. He grabbed his things and trudged into the dark house. He put his things away and headed downstairs to see if Olivia had left a note. He found nothing and made himself a cup of coffee. This is strange, he thought. She always let him know when she would be out for a bit, so why was there no note? He pondered this as he sipped on his coffee. Suddenly, his phone rang. He saw it was from Olivia, so he answered. "Olivia," he asked, "where are you?" "I'm sorry, Sam. I was getting ready for tonight and didn't realize you had called until just a few minutes ago." "What were you getting ready for?" Sam asked. "It's a little surprise," Olivia said. "Some friends and I wanted to surprise you when you got home tonight. Why don't you come over so we can celebrate?" "Sure, where are you?" She gave him an address, and he wrote it down. "What is this anyway? Is it a club or a restaurant or something?" "An old friend of mine has a private club at his house, and we decided to put something together for you. Kind of like a combination welcome home and anniversary party." "That sounds like fun," Sam said. Olivia laughed. "Yes, I promise it'll be a lot of fun. Wear something casual." Okay, I'll see you soon." "See you, babe," she said before ending the call. Strange, Sam thought. She didn't tell him she loved him, but yet this was supposed to be a surprise anniversary party of some sort. Still, there was something about the way she spoke that made him wonder what was going on. He went upstairs, showered, shaved, and dressed in blue jeans and a polo shirt. He looked the address up on Google Maps and saw that it was in a fairly rough area of town. Who did she know that lived out there, he wondered. He knew most of the people at the real estate firm where she worked and didn't think any of them lived out there. So, who was this friend? He knew she once ran with a group of fairly rough types when she was younger but thought she had outgrown them. He locked up, got in his car, and punched the address into his GPS device. He backed out and followed the GPS to the address and was a bit shocked when he reached the destination. A medium-sized house sat in the middle of a lot surrounded by a chain-link fence. He noticed the pickups and motorcycles parked around the place and started to get a bit concerned since he didn't recognize any of the vehicles. He pulled in, parked, and went to the front door. A large man wearing a t-shirt and jeans opened when Sam knocked on the door. Sam noticed the beer in his hand and heard rap music coming from inside. "Yeah," the man asked. "I'm Ethan Taylor, and my wife Olivia asked me to meet her here. I hope I have the right address." The man smiled, but Sam wasn't convinced it was out of genuine friendship. The man reached up and shook Sam's hand. "You must be Olivia's husband. You can call me Damien. We've been expecting you. Come on in." Sam walked in and looked around to see several other large men in the front room. "Hey, everyone, the men of the hour is finally here," Damien said. The other men nodded and smiled at Sam. They may have been smiling, but Sam didn't feel any real friendship here. "Where's Olivia?" Sam asked. "Oh, she's downstairs getting ready for the main event," Damien said, causing the others to chuckle. "Want a beer?" Yeah, sure," Sam said. One of the others handed Sam a bottle of cold beer. "Thanks," Sam said as he opened it and took a tentative sip. "So, what is this main event?" he asked. "Is that the surprise?" Damien asked. "Olivia wanted to do something special for your anniversary and asked us to help her out." Sam frowned. "Well, that over there is Ryan," Damien said, pointing at one of the men in the room. "That's Jordan, and that guy standing next to him is Liam," he added. "That big fella back there, we call him Connor. I'm sure you can understand why." Sam saw the very large, muscular black man standing by the kitchen table. All of them looked mean, and Sam saw the large knife sheath in a scabbard on Jordan's hip. "Yeah, and you're all Olivia's friends?" "Yep," Ryan said. "I've been for a while. Haven't seen her much since she married you, though. She never mentioned any of you to me before," Sam said. "I'm not surprised. Most people try to avoid us as much as they can," Damien said. We have a private club here. A private club? Sam asked. Yeah, Damien said. Down in the basement. Built it ourselves. We like to get together from time to time, have a few drinks, bring in some entertainment. You know. The others chuckled at that, but Sam's hackles were raised. Something bad was about to happen, but he didn't know what. Sam heard footsteps coming up from the basement. She's ready, a sixth man said as he walked into the front room. Is this her husband? Yeah, Damien said. Sam, this here's Jake. He'll escort you down. What's going to happen? Sam asked. A little surprise, Jake said. I promise it'll be an evening you won't forget. The others chuckled, but Sam was nervous. It'll be all right. Come on, Olivia is waiting for you, Jake said. Sam walked over to Jake, who led him downstairs. Happy anniversary, Damien said as Sam began his descent. When he got downstairs, he saw a small bar in one corner of the basement and a well-lit raised area that occupied one end of the room. A curtain was hung across the end of the area, which he realized was probably a stage. What concerned him the most was the bed in the middle of the stage and the camera mounted on a tripod a few feet back. There were several neon beer signs hanging on the walls, and the room was fairly dark, like a bar or a club. A pool table was placed at the opposite end of the basement, and Sam saw a few tables in the room. A jukebox occupied one area of the wall, and Sam realized that was the source of the music. Two other men stood in the room and watched Sam as he entered. Jake led him to a chair that sat in front of the stage. The chair sat next to a table but faced the stage. Have a seat, Jake said, pointing to the chair. Where's Olivia? Sam asked. She'll be out shortly. Go on, sit down. You can put your beer on the table if you want. Sam set the beer down and looked around. Something inside told Sam he needed to get the hell out of there, but he suspected the 5 men upstairs were not about to let him go. Plus, he was worried about Olivia. What would they do to her if he ran out? He took one last sip and placed his bottle on the table. The moment he sat in the chair, Jake and the other 2 men quickly grabbed his arms and zip-tied them to the arms. What the hell is going on? Sam asked, getting angry. The men ignored him and zip-tied his ankles to the legs of the chair. Get me out of here right now. Sam demanded. Shut up, a-hole, he heard Olivia say. Sam looked up and saw Olivia, wearing nothing but a tiny thong and a half-bra. What the hell is this? Sam demanded. Why are you dressed like that? Who are these guys? This is to celebrate our anniversary, she spat. These guys are my friends, and they're going to help me teach you a lesson about cheating. She threw a picture on his lap. Sam looked at it. It was a photo someone had taken of him eating dinner with his sister. I've never cheated on you. Sam said. You've got this all wrong. She screamed suddenly, and Sam saw stars as one of the men who had tied him in the chair hit him in the face. Sam shook his head and closed his eyes. Stop it. Olivia told the man, who backed off. I'll be the one to teach him his lesson. She turned back to Sam. Stop this right now, and we can discuss this. It's not what it looks like. Oh really? Olivia asked. It looks to me like you're enjoying yourself with that blonde floozy. So if you can enjoy yourself, so can I. But unlike you, I'm not going to keep it a secret. With that, she turned away and stepped on the stage. Okay boys, it's showtime. Sam tried to object, but one of the men put a ball gag in his mouth, preventing him from saying anything. He tried to fight the men but was unsuccessful. By now, all the others had made their way downstairs. Damien stood next to him and whispered in his ear. Nothing personal, but Olivia's an old friend, so we decided to help her teach you a lesson. Now sit and enjoy the show. Don't try to be a hero. Once she's done, we'll let you go. Maybe she'll go with you, but that's up to her. Sam tried to say something, but the gag in his mouth prevented it. Just relax, take your medicine like a man, Damien said. He stepped back and nodded at Ryan, who stood by the jukebox. Ryan pressed a button, and a song began playing. As the music began, Olivia started dancing, twirling around like a stripper. She kicked her shoes off and then slowly removed her remaining clothes. You like this, lover boy, she sneered at Sam. Did your little blonde do this for you, huh? She danced a bit more and then laughed as she tossed the tiny thong at Sam. I really hope you like this, lover boy, because you're never going to touch me ever again. Come here, boys, and show little Johnny how a real man treats a woman. She laughed as all the men, except for Jordan, surrounded her. Sam watched as they stripped off their clothes, and Olivia knelt down. Sam shook his head and tried screaming no through the gag. He noticed that Jordan stood by Sam's chair, his arms crossed. He was obviously there to keep Sam under control. Olivia stood up and led the men to the bed on the stage. She sat on the bed and looked at Sam. This will teach you to cheat on me, you a-hole, she growled. She laid down on the bed, and two of the men stood by her head as Damien looked back at Sam for a moment. Nothing personal, but Olivia's the best I've ever had, he laughed and turned back to her. Ready, baby? Yeah, Olivia said. Now take me again and make my husband watch. Damien laughed and started having sex with her. Sam, however, wasn't turned on by the action taking place on the stage. Just the opposite. He tried to control himself with the breathing exercises he had been taught in his martial arts training, but felt the rage building inside him. He could see her and felt sick to his stomach. She was right about one thing: he would never touch her again. The degradation was over when he saw Olivia get up on her knees, but he was wrong. She looked at him and laughed. Don't worry, honey, she said sarcastically, we're just getting warmed up, right boys? The men laughed. Sam looked up at Jordan, who was smiling as he watched the show. Sam wondered why he wasn't participating in the action. Jordan looked down at him, frowned, and took Sam's head in his hands. Watch them, not me, he growled as he forced Sam to look at the stage. Sam felt the rage continuing to build inside him as Olivia continued her actions. You want to see just how nasty I really can be? Just so you know, I'll probably get pregnant tonight, she said with a smirk. I'm sure you noticed no one used a condom, and I've been off my pills for the last few weeks. Don't worry, I used a diaphragm whenever you had sex with me, so you don't have to worry about it being yours. But you will raise this child as yours. And if you refuse, I will divorce you and wreck you. I will take away everything from you. I will make you a pariah in society and label you as a domestic abuser and a cuck. Sam shook his head, his anger blurring his vision. You're probably wondering why Jordan hasn't done me, aren't you? She asked. You see, Jordan prefers men over girls. And after tonight, you will too. They all laughed as Sam felt his face get red hot. He turned and looked at Jordan and noticed he had unzipped his jeans. I promise you'll love it, Jordan said. Then it happened. Sam exploded. He lost control. The next thing he knew, he was standing in the middle of a pile of moaning bodies on the floor. Jordan was screaming in pain, his left hand pinned to the table by a knife buried to the hilt. Sam felt the pain in his arms and legs and saw blood dripping from where the zip ties had secured him to the chair. Looking up, he saw Olivia wide-eyed and trembling. Please don't hurt me, she begged. Oh, now you're scared of me. Sam said coldly. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. But I promise you will feel my wrath, and I will make sure I multiply the pain I suffered tonight and return it to you. Keeping his eye on her, Sam pulled his phone out of his pants pocket and dialed 911. When he finished, he put his phone away and looked at her. You stupid woman, he growled. You cheated on me with that blonde, and I was just getting even with you. So you got a PI to follow me in Phoenix, is that right? Olivia shook her head nervously. Yes, and I got that photo. Did you bother to read the report that came with it? Sam asked. She shook her head again. No, she admitted. That was my sister, you ignorant woman, Sam yelled. The last time we saw her was at our wedding. She's a senior at the University of Florida in Orlando. She came up to visit me in Phoenix, and we had dinner. That's all. Just dinner. You saw the picture and didn't even ask me about it. You just made an assumption like you always do. Sam continued. Well, guess what? You're right about one thing: I'm never touching you again. I'll see you in jail, and then I'm divorcing you. I'm glad you did this. You pulled the final straw. We're finished. John, please don't do that, she begged, walking toward him. Trust me, Olivia, you have no idea what I want to do to you right now. So for your own safety and physical well-being, stay away from me. John, please, she begged. I made a mistake, that's all. Yeah, you made a mistake, all right, Sam snapped. I'll teach you what happens when you make a big mistake. You played your part, Olivia. Now, starting today, I will make you pay. By then, the police had arrived, and several officers came downstairs after breaking down the front door. They each had their guns drawn and looked around at the carnage. They quickly moved through the basement, checking each of the men. One officer pulled the knife out of Jordan's hand and watched as he slumped to the floor. A sergeant approached Sam. Did you do all this? He asked, shaking his head. Sam nodded. Why? The sergeant asked. Look at the video, and you'll know why, Sam said, pointing at the camera. Check out that video. The sergeant told one of the officers to review the footage. After quickly scanning the video, the sergeant came back to Sam. Okay, it looks like self-defense on your part, the sergeant said. But I'll need a full statement, and you need to get checked out. By then, ambulances had arrived, and paramedics began taking the men upstairs on gurneys. A plainclothes detective arrived and was looking around the room, talking to the officers. After looking through the video, he came over to the sergeant and Sam. I'm Detective Morgan. You must be Mr. Peterson, the detective said. Yes, that's me, Sam replied. I've briefly looked at the video. I agree with Sergeant Phillips here. It appears you acted in self-defense. Tell me what happened. Sam recalled the events of the last few hours, and the detective took notes as Sam spoke. How did you manage to break out of that chair? Detective Morgan asked. And how were you able to take all these men down? They all appear to be much bigger than you. I have a medical condition, Sam replied. I've had it since I was a kid. There's a name for it, but I can't pronounce it. The bottom line is, under certain conditions, my adrenaline levels go through the roof, and I basically lose control. I have a prescription that helps me keep it under control, and my martial arts training also helps me keep my cool. This is only the second time in my life something like this has ever happened. Do you have that medication with you? Detective Morgan asked. Sam nodded. I keep it with me at all times. I only take it when it's needed, which fortunately isn't very often. Detective Morgan asked one of the officers to bring a bottle of water, which he did. Maybe you should take one now, the detective said, handing Sam the water. Sam pulled the small packet out of his pocket and swallowed a pill with the water. After a few seconds, Sam felt much better. Are you okay now? Detective Morgan asked. Yes, thanks, Sam said. Do you remember what you did here? The detective asked. No, I don't, Sam replied, shaking his head. The detective showed Sam the video, and Sam was shocked at what he saw. It was like watching a Hulk movie, except this was real life. He saw himself roar and then break out of the chair. In the video, he grabbed Jordan's knife out of its scabbard and plunged it into the bigger man's left hand, pinning it to the table. The other men came after him, and in less than a minute, Sam had taken all of them down. You don't remember doing any of this? Detective Morgan asked. No, I don't, Sam said, shaking his head. The detective showed Sam the video again, and Sam saw how he had torn through the men, using strength he never knew he had. He felt a mix of horror and amazement, and it took everything within him to stay calm. How did you manage that? Detective Morgan asked, still incredulous. It's the condition, Sam replied. When it hits, I can't control it. But I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done. The detective nodded. Understood. We'll take care of the rest. You're free to go. But don't leave town. I'm not going anywhere, Sam said flatly. After the officers finished questioning him, Sam drove to the hospital to get checked out. A few hours later, he drove home, his cuts dressed, cleaned, and bandaged. On the way home, he realized he hadn't eaten since he left Phoenix and decided to go through a drive-thru for a burger. Once home, he ate and then called his boss, David Harris, to explain the situation. Damn, Sam, I'm sorry to hear that, Mark said. Look, why don't you bring the signed contract and then take the next week off? You've got plenty of vacation time coming. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that, Sam said. After he calmed down, Sam showered and went to bed. The next day, he went to the jewelry shop and cancelled the order for Olivia's necklace. He ended up paying a small restocking fee but got most of his money back. He also cancelled the hotel reservation and had the charges reversed. Then he called around and made an appointment to see Sophia Bennett, an attorney, about a divorce. On Wednesday, he just finished eating lunch when his phone rang. He saw it was Olivia's parents calling. "Sam, what the hell is going on?" Margaret, his mother-in-law, asked. Olivia called from the county jail. She said she's been arrested and they're holding her without bail. Did you do something? Sam couldn't believe the nerve of this woman. He counted to 10 and took a few deep breaths before answering. Did she tell you why she was arrested? She said it was all some kind of misunderstanding on your part, Margaret replied. On my part? Really? You mean she didn't tell you that she plotted to have me tied up, forced to watch her have sex with multiple men, and then was going to have me sexually assaulted by one of her male friends? Didn't she tell you about that? Sam said. What would you do if you saw a picture of her eating lunch with a man? Margaret didn't have an answer. Look, Margaret, Sam continued, you have no idea what your daughter did, and there's no way in hell I can overlook it. I've been dealing with her insane jealousy since we got married. I'm tired of it. It ends now. As far as the divorce is concerned, let me ask you, if we reversed the roles and I tied her up, forced her to watch me have sex with other women, and then had her assaulted by one of them, would you still ask your daughter to remain married to me? Margaret didn't say a word. Don't be a hypocrite, Margaret. You know very well that what I'm doing to your daughter is absolutely right. With that, Sam ended the call. When she called back, he sent it straight to voicemail. Curious, Sam went into the second bedroom, where he and Olivia had their home computers set up. He sat down at her computer, already knowing her passwords. He opened her email client and was shocked by what he saw. He found an email from a company called Summit Investigations, and attached to it was a document and a photo. The photo was of him and his sister eating dinner, the same one Olivia had thrown in his face earlier. The report stated that the target, Ethan Taylor, had eaten dinner with what appeared to be a much younger woman. The report went on to say that after dinner, the woman left the hotel and Sam went to his room. There was more. The report clearly stated that the woman was Chloe Peterson, a senior attending the University of Florida in Orlando, and according to public records, was Sam's youngest sister. At no time was Sam with a woman for the purposes of illicit sex, and at no time during the investigation did Sam engage in any inappropriate behavior with anyone, male or female. The report concluded that if Olivia had bothered to read it, she would have known he was innocent of cheating on her. But as usual, she simply saw the photo and jumped to her own false conclusion. Sam printed the document and kept digging. He found emails from Olivia to Jordan in which she falsely claimed that her husband was cheating on her and that she wanted revenge. He found several emails from Jordan telling Olivia about a website where she could get her revenge. As Sam read through the emails, he felt his blood pressure rise. What had happened to him the night before was no accident, and he realized Olivia had intentionally planned to have him assaulted, videotaped, and the video published on the internet. He printed off the emails and kept digging. Sam checked Olivia's browser history and discovered she had visited several sites similar to the one she was in contact with. One of them was the website Jordan had mentioned. He saw several sample videos where other men, presumably husbands, had been tied down and forced to watch as their wives had sex with several men. All the while, the wives degraded the husbands. The final humiliation was making the husbands engage with Jordan. Sam instantly recognized the men in the videos: Damien, Ryan, Liam, Jake, Jordan, and Connor, his so-called friends. They were all already working for such a website. What shocked him even more was that the videos on the site were available to anyone who paid a premium fee. Sam knew there had to be a release form for each video, giving the site owners permission to publish them. He was never given that opportunity and wondered if the other men had signed such forms. Sam picked up his phone and called Detective Morgan. Davis, the detective answered when he picked up. Detective, this is Ethan Taylor. I have some information here you may find interesting, Sam said. Can you come to my house? Sam asked. Sure, let me finish what I'm doing, and I'll be right over. Thanks, Sam said, ending the call. While he waited for Davis to arrive, Sam performed a search to see if he could figure out who owned the website. The registration was done in a way to keep the owner's name private, but Sam knew that a law enforcement agency could subpoena that record. He also knew which company hosted the site and printed that out for Davis. About half an hour later, Davis rang the doorbell. Sam opened the door and greeted him. "Thanks for coming, Detective," Sam said as he let Davis in. "Do you have something for me?" Davis asked. "Yes, in my computer room," Sam said. Davis followed him upstairs and looked over the printouts Sam gave him. "This corroborates what we found at the house. From what we've seen, they've done this to a number of men," Davis said, flipping through the papers. "What about release forms?" he asked. "We found release forms signed by the wives they targeted. But the men we've tracked down say the releases were signed after the fact and under duress," Davis explained. Making matters worse, the site owners had also posted personal information about the men they targeted. "At least 3 of the victims committed suicide as a result of what was done to them," he added. "Have you found anything about the husbands?" Sam asked. "I don't recall seeing anything like that, but like I said, we're still going through all the evidence," Davis replied. "Look, I'm going to have to confiscate your wife's computer for evidence." "Go ahead," Sam said. "I'd like to keep these printouts for my attorney, though. The files are still there in her email." Davis nodded. "Sure, but don't destroy them," he said. After taking the computer, Davis left, and Sam sat at his desk, processing everything that had happened. The next day, Sam went to see Sophia Bennett, an attorney, about a divorce. He made a copy of Olivia's emails and took them with him. One copy was for Lisa, and the other he would present to Olivia's parents. When he arrived at the office, he was escorted right in. After introductions, Sam explained his situation to Lisa and showed her the email thread between Olivia and Damien. Lisa listened without interruption, making notes as Sam spoke. She read through the emails and shook her head. "You know, I thought I had seen it all. Fortunately for you, this state allows for divorce on the grounds of adultery, cruelty, and abuse. I think this covers about all 3 of those situations." "You say she was arrested and is being held without bail?" Lisa asked, turning to her computer. "Yes," Sam replied. Lisa nodded. "I see here that she was arraigned yesterday and is facing a whole slew of charges: spousal abuse, sexual assault, conspiracy to commit assault, fraud, and illegal imprisonment, for starters. Apparently, the judge felt she's dangerous enough to keep in custody. It also looks like her accomplices are also being held on similar charges." "And you say these men operate a website that posts these videos on the internet for money?" Lisa asked. "Yes, I found a few of their videos, and they're all pretty much the same thing," Sam explained. "Did they explain this to you before they tied you down?" Lisa asked. "No," Sam said. "They made it sound like it was some kind of anniversary party or surprise. They never said anything about sex or selling videos on the internet." "Well, I think we not only have a solid case against your wife, but we also have a case against the men who did this to you as well as the hosting provider," Lisa said, taking more notes. "Do you know if they offered your wife any royalties for the video?" Lisa asked. "No, I haven't seen anything like that," Sam replied. Lisa nodded. "It looks like that website gets a lot of traffic. I'd bet they make a ton of money off this filth." "Okay, here's what I'd like to do," Lisa said. "I'll write up the divorce papers asking for 90% of everything. On top of that, we'll ask for the house and everything we can get our hands on. The judge may not go along with that, and it's possible we'll have to negotiate our way down. But that's just a starting point. We'll use this email thread and the fact that she's being held without bail as leverage. If they do release her, I'll get a restraining order against her and her accomplices, but I don't think you have much to worry about there. You say Detective Morgan has the video they made as evidence, and it never got to the internet." "He has the video," Sam said. "As far as I know, it never got to the internet, but it would have." Lisa nodded. "Okay," she said, taking more notes. "I'll get with him about that video, and we'll have it served. If you want, I can file a civil claim against the website owners and the hosting provider." "Yes, that would be good," Sam said. Lisa looked at him before continuing. "Do yourself a favor, don't visit your wife. Stay as far away from her as possible. Don't even think about what she did. Let me and the authorities deal with it. From what you told me, you'd be better off not even thinking about her. If you want, I can set you up with a therapist to help you deal with this. Would that be all right? Sam nodded. Yeah. I've tried everything I know, but it just doesn't seem to be enough. Normally, the breathing and the medication keep me under control, but I've never had to deal with anything like this. I understand, Lisa said, handing him a card. I'll give her a call right now if you want. Please, Sam said. She picked up her phone, called, and made an appointment for him. When she finished, she smiled and looked at Sam. Dr. Turner said she can see you this afternoon at 4 p.m. Will that work for you? Sam looked at his watch, then nodded. That'll work. Thanks. Good, Lisa said. Here are some things you need to take care of right away, she added, handing him a sheet of paper with a list of things he needed to get done. Most of it involved the bank, so Sam decided to take care of it after his appointment with Lisa. I'll take care of this right away, Sam said. Terrific, Lisa said, offering a reassuring smile. Listen, I know this has been rough on you, so I want you to rest, relax, and let us take care of things. You understand? I do, Sam replied. Good. Don't worry, Sam. This will all work out, and you can move ahead with your life. He thanked her and left. After leaving a healthy retainer, he went to the bank to pay and close out their joint credit cards. He withdrew everything but 10% of their remaining balance and opened a new account in his name only. He applied for a new credit card as well. From there, he stopped by Olivia's parents' house to explain what had happened, showing them the email chain between Olivia and Damien. They were shocked by the revelation. This is sick. I can't believe she'd actually do something like this. Are you sure you didn't cheat on her? Margaret asked, still trying to grasp the situation. I love Olivia with all my heart and never once thought about cheating on her, Sam replied. She saw a picture of me having dinner with my baby sister and thought we were having an affair. She didn't even bother to read the report. If she had, none of this would have happened. Margaret shook her head in disbelief. I don't know what to say, Sam. I'm truly sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry I encouraged her when we got married. Just do me a favor and stay in touch, okay? We've always thought of you as the son we never had. I'll do that, Margaret, Sam said, his voice softening a little. By the way, Olivia's car is still at that guy's place. I'll give you her keys if you want to go pick it up. I'll bring her things by later today or this weekend. Okay, thanks, Sam said, accepting the keys and the address. I appreciate it. With that, Sam left their house and headed for his next destination. He just had enough time to get to his appointment with Dr. Turner. Dr. Turner, Dr. Collins, as her friends and patients called her, listened attentively as Sam explained his situation. She said nothing until he finished his story. I've heard about your condition, Sam, but I've never met anyone who's actually been diagnosed with it. And you say you've been using martial arts training to help keep it under control. Yes, Sam answered. Breathing exercises mostly. That, along with medication to help my blood pressure. It usually works pretty quickly, and until recently, I've hardly had to use it at all. Are you still taking martial arts training? She asked. Yes, Sam said. Maybe we should take a look at some exercises in meditation, Dr. Turner suggested. Would you be open to that? I would, Sam said, feeling a bit more hopeful. Good, she replied, offering a small smile. We've got a lot of work to do, Sam, but I think we can help you through this without needing any more medication. I'd prefer that, Sam said, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. After his session with Dr. Turner, Sam went back home and bagged up Olivia's things, including all their wedding photos and her wedding dress. The memories meant nothing to him now, and he wanted nothing in the house that would remind him of her. That weekend, he changed the locks on the house, took her things to her parents' house, and did his usual weekend yard work. On Sunday, he found an app that promised to help calm him, so he downloaded it to his phone and listened to the sound of rain as he went through a regimen of breathing exercises. After about half an hour, he felt like his old self again. He decided to go into work the next day. Things were quieter for Sam over the next few weeks. He went to work, went home, watched television, relaxed, and went to bed. The place seemed much quieter without Olivia, and he enjoyed being able to do what he wanted without her constant accusations. The therapy sessions with Dr. Collins helped quite a bit, and he found that the relaxation techniques she suggested really made a difference. He stayed in touch with Lisa, who said she was going to wait until after Olivia's trial to have her served. Her thinking was that the divorce would go smoother if Olivia was convicted. The day of Olivia's trial arrived, and Sam was asked to testify. He was more than happy to do so. The jury was shocked when the district attorney presented his evidence, which included Sam's testimony. They were so shocked that they returned guilty verdicts on all charges in just a couple of hours. The judge had no sympathy for Olivia either, sentencing her to the maximum possible under state law, 18 years. She would be eligible for parole in 15 years, the judge said. As she was being led out of the courtroom, a process server stepped forward. He verified her identity and handed her a manila envelope. "You've been served," the server said, his voice firm. Defeated, Olivia signed the papers and handed them back. "Have a good day," the server said as he accepted the signed papers. Olivia looked at Sam with tears in her eyes, but he simply looked away. The deputies escorted her out and took her to the van that would transport her to the state women's prison. The trials against Damien and his crew took much longer. Detective Morgan found a treasure trove of evidence, which suggested they had victimized up to 15 men over the last 13 months. They had found release forms signed by the husbands they had targeted, but the men they had tracked down said the releases were signed after the fact and under duress. Making matters worse, the site owners had posted personal information about the men they targeted. At least 3 of the victims had committed suicide as a result of what had been done to them. By the time it was all said and done, all of the men involved were sentenced to 25 years of hard labor. The site was shut down, and all the victims, at least all the men Lisa's team of attorneys could locate, received a huge sum of money, which ultimately bankrupted Damien and his associates. The hosting provider settled with the men, which added to the payout. Sam nearly broke down crying when Lisa presented him with a $1.7 million check. While he appreciated the restitution, the money did very little to soothe his broken heart. "You're a good man, Ethan Taylor," Lisa told him. "There are lots of good women out there who would love to be with you. You'll find her." "Thanks, Lisa," Sam said, looking down at the check. "Maybe one day." In the following years, Sam continued seeing his therapist, Dr. Collins, who helped him deal with his issues. Over the next 2 years, Sam buried himself in his work, dating periodically, but it was only in the last few months that he started dating the same woman more than once. His therapist noted in her transcribed notes that while Sam had many issues to work through, he had shown significant progress. He hadn't had any more episodes, and seemed to be moving forward. "I think he'll do just fine in the long run," Dr. Collins thought to herself, smiling as she finished her notes. A few days later, Sam met a man at a local bar. Their discussion took no more than 10 minutes. Sam walked out to his car and waited. The man walked toward him and picked up the small briefcase that Sam had already placed on the ground. Both men exchanged a nod and walked away. 5 days later, Sam learned from Lisa that Olivia had gotten pregnant as a result of her actions that fateful night, but had suffered a miscarriage when 3 large women attacked her in the bathroom. She was bleeding heavily and was taken to the hospital. Lisa also informed Sam that Olivia would never be able to conceive again. Women like her should never breed, Sam thought to himself. 7 days later, Damien and Ryan were killed during a massive riot that broke out in the prison during lunch hours. 2 days later, Liam was found hanging in his cell. 3 days later, Jake was attempting to climb the prison wall with 2 other inmates when he was shot and killed by prison guards. The other 2 prisoners somehow managed to escape unharmed. As for the guards, they were very compliant and never tried to climb the wall. Connor and 2 others died under mysterious circumstances, poisoned, according to the autopsy. Jordan was the luckiest of them all, or so he thought. He managed to escape the prison with 2 other inmates and crossed the border into Mexico. What he didn't know was that his partners in crime took him straight to Monterrey. He was eating at a local diner when he met a beautiful woman. They danced together, and she offered to take him to her home. Jordan, grinning ear to ear, followed her to her bedroom. It was dark when everything suddenly went black. A few moments later, Jordan opened his eyes to find himself tied to a chair. A man walked toward him, holding a phone in front of his face. "Hello, Jordan," the man said. "Hope you remember me. I guess my friend treated you well. I've asked my friend to be gentle with you and stretch the night as far as possible, just like you told me once. I promise you'll love it." Jordan tried to scream, but his mouth was gagged. A few moments later, he heard the roaring sound of a bat. A man, dressed in a yellow raincoat with a helmet, stood before him. The man took the bat and walked closer. "Do you like stew, Jordan?" the man asked, grinning. "Thank you for watching this gripping tale of betrayal and redemption. What do you think Sam should have done differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.